What's up guys, Sinapse here. Today I'm going to be talking about how to pick up girls in Japan, alright? Now first you may be wondering, who am I? Who are you to dispense such knowledge as if you are the god of women and the gift to the female species? Alright, well I have done a ridiculous amount of pickup in Japan, and that includes everything from clubs, bars, street, cafe, trains. Now, why did I spend so much time doing this? Well, when I came to Japan, I thought it would be incredibly easy. I thought, Japanese girls, they're gonna love me, I'm foreign and all these things. Well, that was not the case, okay? When I first arrived in Japan, I was a little bit shy, I was not confident, I didn't have any ability to go up to a random woman and start a conversation in a normal way. I was paralyzed by anxiety, all of these things, right? So I made it my mission to change all of that, okay? And I did that through a ridiculous amount of action and reflection, right? While trying to maintain a positive mindset at the same time. Now, I learned, and everything I learned from women. And in other words, everything that I'm about to tell you now has been taught to me from women, okay? So the first idea that I want to convey to you is this is a constructive process, right? This is not something that you're going out and you're gonna take something from these girls, right? If you start off with that mindset, you're already on the wrong foot, okay? This is a win-win situation, right? You can think of women, they love sex just as much as men, possibly even more actually, if you think about who has the multiple squirting orgasms and who only has one short one and then done often, right? So in addition to that, Japanese people in general have a lot of difficulty and anxiety meeting people. There's a well-documented declining birth rate, and fewer than ever people are having sex, which means this is really a public service, right? So how did I go through the process of being a guy who was extremely shy, uncomfortable around women, and had no idea how to relate to a Japanese woman, to a guy who can now pretty much go out whenever I want and, end up with a new beautiful girl sleeping next to me, right?
今さっき友達と解散したけど今から飲もうかなと思って Let's go drinking
今日は友達約束してる。今高田の馬場にフーカー吸いに行く。
渋谷
渋谷？
そうこれ前庭
庭すごいね。庭とか覚えてたんですよ。
You are my 鶏
違う。
ちょっと餌あげる
それまあ
こうやってテキテキテキ
興味ない。
飲もうよ Let's go drink
友達に聞いてから友達今仕事だから
友達にごめん風あるからって言っといて今仕事ならいいじゃん別にちょっとチョコ遅くなっても大丈夫でしょ
今レモンがついた。レモンシーシャついた。ナンパ上手だね。ナンパ上手だね。
Thank you
慣れたよ。渋谷でいっぱいした。渋谷でいっぱいした。
まあするときはするね
失敗して
そう
成功して繰り返し
そう
I'm going to share with you exactly my process over the last several years and how I came to be the person who's teaching guys in Japan and taking them on boot camps, which are 3-day complete courses teaching them everything I know and showing them the exact way to pull girls from streets, clubs, bars, trains, cafes, malls, you name it, to their house in a relatively short time, or to make a very good impression on a girl who is right for you, right? Alright, so how do we do this? The first thing we have to talk about is your mindset, okay? Mindset is extremely important because what game is actually, it's not gaming the girl, it is gaming yourself, okay? You have to cultivate and create a positive source of emotions within yourself, right? You have to realize that no girl is ever going to completely make you happy. While you think they're not going to. Spoiler alert, I've seen the end of that movie, okay? Ultimately, you need to have happiness coming from within yourself, right? And this happens to be the most attractive thing for women as well, is to see a guy who is on his purpose, on his mission, on his path as a man, and who is the source of his own emotions, whose happiness comes from his core within, okay? Now, guys are their own biggest obstacle. So the first thing we want to do is get out of our own way, right? Now, how are we in our own way, okay? What is approach anxiety, right? Approach anxiety comes from the fact that you believe that somebody else, namely a girl, whether she likes you or not within the first 15 seconds, is a referendum on your value as a human being. In other words, her opinion, this person that you've never met and has done no particular good, valuable thing in society as we know of from her appearance. In other words, her beauty was given to her genetically, right? She's not in charge of this, okay? It's not like she is Mother Teresa, she's spent her years helping the poor and the sick or something, right? There's nothing that she has chosen to do. We're placing a massive weight on simply something that she's inherited in this world, okay? And we're saying that her judgment on me in my first 10 seconds of the approach matters infinitely to me, okay? I have a sense of pride and I cannot be rejected. Well, if you are so paralyzed and afraid of rejection and afraid of pursuing the things that you desire, I'm here to tell you that not only are you going to fail with women, you're going to fail with life, business, any of these things, right? In order to succeed in any endeavor, you have to persist and have to be somewhat impervious to rejection, or at least realize that rejection is feedback. Feedback which you can use, right? You win or you learn, okay? So when a girl rejects you, realize that halfway is not about you. And sometimes it's just really not about you. She's busy, she's in a rush, she's a boyfriend she loves, she's a husband and kids, her grandma just died and she's not in the mood to talk to anybody, okay? Some of the times it's not about you, right? Other times it is, right? Now that sounds horrible. Why would I want to feel like it's about me? Well, it's a way to learn, okay? You can learn how to better present yourself, better communicate in an honest way. And here I mean honest, not in the sense that you are telling the truth per se, but that you are not hiding behind anything. Okay, what are some of the common ways that guys tend to approach women? Guys will try to show her that they have a lot of money, or they'll present their good sides. You know, if they're athletic, they'll be like, well, I'm a sports star, or whatever it is that you think is your best point, you try to shove that in her face as if that will make her like you, okay? Because you want her validation immediately, okay? Well, if your validation comes from within, you don't need to do that, okay? And that means that you're free to express yourself honestly. And what is honest expression? What is this term that I keep throwing around, all right? So if you think of how you express yourself when you're around your close friends or your family, you express yourself naturally, right, in a wide range of emotions. You say what's on your mind. You tell people when they're full of shit, right? You tell people when they've done a good job, right? But you're not pretending to be anything. You don't need anybody to like you because they're already your friends, they're already your girlfriend, they're already your family, okay? If you could just behave in that same way in front of a woman, that is your best chance of her liking you, if she's right for you, okay? Other thing you have to realize is not every girl is going to be right for you, right? Just like you don't necessarily want to be friends with everybody, so too should you not necessarily want to sleep with everybody, right? Now this is weird. Where is this going? I thought this was about banging Japanese girls, and now we're talking about how we don't want to bet. What? Well, imagine you go to a car dealership, right? You are in the mood for a car. You would like a car, you need a car, you know that you need XYZ features. These are your criteria. So you go into the lot and the salesman comes over. The salesman says, well, look at this. It's exactly what you need, right? It is a car. It has 4 wheels and it moves. And you say, well, wait a minute, I have some criteria here, right? You know, it's got to have enough room, you know, in the back for my kids, or it's got to have a V6, or whatever your criteria are. You start telling the salesman, you're like, look, I need these things in the car. I'm not here just for any car, right? Salesman says, okay, I've got a perfect thing for you. Comes over, shows you a certain car, and it's hot pink or something. And you're like, I can't stand it, or I love it. Oh my God, give me that. The point here is, you're not immediately sold on the first car just because it has 4 wheels and drives, right? In the same way, when you go up to a girl, you have to think not as a seller trying to sell yourself to her, trying to convince her that you are worthy of her sexual attention. You should go up to her in the frame of a buyer, thinking, who is this girl? Is she on my level? Am I interested in her at all, right? And it should not be an automatic yes, right? Just because you approached. You start to think of her as, what is this person in front of me, and does she match who I am and what I'm looking for? Okay, so you need to have a criteria of things that you're looking for in women. And ideally it should not be like, well, this inch bust and this waist and this ass or whatever. I mean, yeah, sure, if you like those girls, go after them. But these should be more sort of things that you can communicate to her, that you can find out directly from her. Things like her personality and her choices. Is she athletic? Is she adventurous? Can she cook? Is she socially savvy? All of these things, the better you are able to communicate that you are looking for specific criteria, first of all, the more defined, the better girls you are going to be able to find for you. And second of all, the women will feel as if you're not simply on a mission for sex with the first available girl, right? Which is the worst possible thing she could think about you, right? And it should not be true for yourself as well. All right. So by switching from the seller frame of selling yourself to whoever will buy you, right, to the buyer frame of evaluating things or women based on the criteria that you have previously established and what you're looking for, right? You're not looking for any woman. You're not looking for the first girl you can sleep with. You're looking for specific women with specific traits or criteria. Now that you have established a buyer frame, you realize that not every rejection is a terrible thing. In fact, an approach is not am I going to get a success or rejection, right? It's not this polarizing thing. Instead, you can think of it as a test for affinity. You're going up to this girl, you're saying, hello, human being. I am also a human being. Do we have affinity together or not? If not, we will go our separate ways, but if we do, let's see what happens. So in this way of thinking of approaching a girl is like discovering something that you didn't know. Flipping over a card, right? You think of the game memory with a bunch of cards, you flip over one card and then you flip over another card and you're like, oh, that was a match, right? So in the same way, when you approach women, it should be a test for affinity. You do not know what is behind the woman or inside of the woman, her beliefs. But when you approach, you have a chance to find out. You have a chance to flip over that card and you see, oh, it's a match. What you have matches what I've got. Well, great. Let's make something happen, okay? And then you can move from there. Finally, honest expression. I already mentioned this a little bit, but what is it? How is it different, right? How is it different from being nice, right? So guys love to be nice. They love to be genial and pleasant, like a gentleman, right? And why is this toxic behavior? Okay, why is this exactly so bad? First of all, it's masking yourself, right? It's blinding yourself to the realities of the situation, okay? If you go up to a girl and you're like, well, you are an angel, right? It's fine if you think she's beautiful, but you don't want to gloss over the fact that she is a human being like the rest of us. She eats, she shits, she has bad days, she has good days, she has values, she probably has some things she's slacking on, okay? In other words, you want to see her as human, not as some sort of doll, not as some sort of angel or godly thing, right? Just human. Nothing more, nothing less, right? Same as yourself. You don't want to be the nice guy. If you think of the nice guy, he comes in under the pretense of niceness, pleasantness. Let's have a nice, pleasant conversation, and we will be very gentlemanly and sip our tea, and I will hide all of my intentions, and then at the end I will unleash my deep animal urges, right? Now, what is the problem with this, okay? Trying to be a gentleman, trying to be a nice guy, most of the time it is not who you really are, or at least it's not the entire picture, right? Yes, being nice to girls is cool. Yes, providing gestures for them is fine and dandy. But if you are trying to hide behind a mask of gentlemanliness, right? You can think of this as like, imagine you're a normal guy and you wake up and you're like, how do I get with women? And you sneak into James Bond's house and you put on his suit and you're like, yes, I will be this and that will get me the women, right? You go up to a woman and you talk to her, you're like, hello, I am James Bond. Sips a drink, right? This is pretending to be something you're not, okay? You're not hiding the fact that, look, I actually just am genuinely interested in women. I want to talk to them. I want to sleep with them. I would like to engage with them as they are, as women. Play with the energy that they present to the conversation. Express myself, some of my vulnerabilities and my uniqueness, right? Not try to fit into somebody else's suit, right? I'm not going to try to be a second-rate James Bond or whoever. I'm going to be a first-rate version of myself. I'm going to express myself with less anxiety about how she's going to react. I'm going to express myself more honestly, not treading on eggshells, worrying about offending her, worrying about, am I doing the right things, constantly self-monitoring, okay? You're going to have to break a few eggs to make an omelet, or whatever you want to call it. You're going to have to polarize women to some degree. In other words, some women are going to dislike you, some women are going to like you. That is fine, that is part of the process. But how you do not succeed is by trying to have a broad, bland appeal to all women, or trying to comport yourself in some specific way that you think is going to appeal to everybody, right? Paradoxically, by giving up the desire to hook up with all women and change yourself into the most broadly acceptable form, you gain the ability to hook up more easily than ever with the women who you are most attracted to and who have the best affinity with you. Okay, so that's why being the wonder-bred, nice, gentlemanly James Bond copy clone is going to work against you, right? Instead, you should communicate honestly, and yes, that might mean offending some women, okay? As long as you're not hurting anybody, as long as you're not being violent or overly aggressive or grabby or touchy or anything like that, and as long as you're not saying things for the purpose of being mean, everything is fair game, right? Okay, so we talked about mindset, and from right mindset comes right action, right? So what is right action? Right action is taking the steps towards your desired outcome, okay? You can apply this to anything, right? But specifically, it requires the focus on the action itself, right? You are not worried about the results of the action, okay? You know you cannot control how a woman responds. You cannot control what happens, right? For example, in the stock market or the weather, you can't control these things. So give up control and instead take the action that you know will lead to long-term success. And oftentimes, this does not mean the most apparent or easiest thing to do, okay? So the easiest thing to do would be to hook up with that girl hook up with the girl that you met at the water cooler, right? Who you see every day, and she's not really that cute, but she's there. So why not just hook up with her? Okay, that's the low-hanging fruit. Right action is about throwing yourself into the women who are most appealing and most desiring to you. Going forward to them and being like, look, this may not work, but God damn it, I'm going to try, right? I'm going to throw myself against the walls of her fortress, as it were, and she will see me coming, and I will not hide behind anything. I'm not trying to slip in, burrow through, burrow under, or whatever, sneak over. I am coming straight up to the door. I'm grabbing myself by the balls, and I'm saying, look, I might be scared shitless, but here I am because I wanted to talk to you, okay? And women will appreciate this form of honesty and purity of intent. So, right action. It means not taking action towards what is easy or available, but taking action towards what really moves you, what really motivates you. And that is regardless of necessarily perceived challenge or difficulty, and in some cases, in spite of, right? This is difficult, but I'm going to do it anyway because the glory is great, right? The eternal rewards are great, and it is the right thing to do, right? We are men. It is our genetic impetus to succeed and hook up with and procreate with the most beautiful women we can. This is what is genetically correct, right? So anybody that ever tells you that you should not be with a beautiful woman or should not approach her, you should not do whatever, probably just is caught up in their own anxiety and mental games, because ultimately on a genetic biological level, we are compelled towards beautiful women, right? For the sake of humanity and our species, right? This is a matter of life and death. This is something that goes deeper than fun or little games or whatever. This is a core component of the human species and a reason why we have existed this long, right? It's getting kind of deep, but man, this is a matter of life and death, and you are dying, okay? All of us are dying. I don't care who you are. So what the fuck are you doing with your life if you're not going after women who inspire you, right? Now, not only women, but, business or fitness, whatever it is, everything in life is here for you to do it. Now, are you taking advantage of that opportunity? Or are you sitting at home? Are you wasting your time watching TV? Are you playing mindless time killer games, right? Think about the word killing time. That's like killing yourself, basically, right? So are you taking control of your life and going after the things that inspire you or not, right? It's time to have a reality check and look in the mirror, right? So right action comes on a deeper level than just moving your feet, although yes, that's important too. It's like spiritually, genetically, right? What is the right thing for you to do at that moment for the betterment of yourself and the human species in general, okay? It is imperative. This is a matter of life and death. One of the ways this manifests is in the realization that not all pickup is smooth. Not everything is going to just be like you slide up to the bar and you're just like, hey, and she's like, oh, hey, and you're like, well, I'm just in town for blah, 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 but why don't we go get a drink at my place? And she's like, oh, okay, I'm glad you asked. And then you go back and whatever. It's not going to be like that. I mean, sometimes it will, and that's great. But that's not what you should judge your game on, right? You're not going to judge your game and be like, wow, damn, I'm 1 for 1 in my lifetime of smooth approaches, right? Don't. Instead, you want to embrace the ugly set. You want to realize that some interactions are just going to be strange or awkward for a little bit, right? You're going to go up to a girl, you're going to be like, hey, how's it? And she's going to be like, hello, much more, she, and you're going to be like, oh, fuck, this is awkward, bad timing. Do I leave? She knows that she know I came over here. If I leave now, it's kind of awkward, like I came over for no reason, and what do I... Okay, so some approaches are going to get weird or strange or ugly, if you will. And you have to embrace that. You have to realize that what we are doing is more important than feeling shame or uncertainty or all these other things, right? These are barriers to your success, right? And your ability to embrace this ugly set, the set or the interaction that goes in an awkward direction, the more able you are to continue down that path, persist even though the interaction is not going as your ideal smooth interaction you might want it to, Your ability to tolerate this and to continue and show her that yes, you are interested in her, and no, you're not going to be deterred by the awkwardness of some situation, or you talk to a girl in a club and some guy bumps into you and spills a drink, and you're like, are you going to be like, fuck, I guess this girl's done, got this drink spilled on me, or are you just going to be like, wow, I just got a drink spilled on me, but I wanted to talk to you, okay? Are you motivated by something that transcends these sort of petty little accidents or awkward moments of awkwardness that happen, or are you immediately discouraged? And you never want to be immediately discouraged, okay? Finally, you have to take massive action, okay? Whatever you're doing right now, it's probably not enough, right? You have to learn, once again, trial and error, action and reflection, these are coupled, right? The people who have, taken the most shots are the ones who succeed the most, right? One of the weirdest expressions is it's a numbers game. Pickup is a numbers game, okay? Well, you could say basketball is a numbers game, right? Michael Jordan just simply played the numbers. He shot the ball more times than anybody else, and that's why he's great. Well, no, right? That's absurd, because it's both, right? You have to take a lot of shots, and you also have to improve, right? You have to reflect, work on your shot, So there's this process of action and reflection, and they're a cycle, okay? So taking lots of action, reflecting a lot, and changing, modifying, trying new things, having fun, right? All of these things, it's cyclical, okay? But you have to take massive action, or nothing is going to happen. Right? This is true with business, this is true with pickup, this is true with nearly everything in life, right? If you want to get good at something, you're going to have to do it a lot, okay? And if you're somebody who is not super social, like I was, right? Or is not really good with women in general, just be honest with yourself and be like, look, I need to speak with more women, right? I need to learn from them. They will teach me, they will tell me, how I need to express myself. They will tell me when I'm caught up in my head. They will tell me when I'm anxious. They will tell me when I'm trying to be something I'm not. They will tell me when I have ulterior motives. You do have to kind of read between the lines, right? They're not going to say, look, you have ulterior motives and that's why I'm leaving. They're just going to leave, right? But you have to be like, well, let's look back, and you say, oh, I realized that I told that joke not because I wanted to or because I thought it was funny, but because I wanted a reaction from her. All right, that makes sense. That's not that cool. So let's change the behavior for next time, right? And in this way, you have the process of action and reflection, okay? So is it a numbers game? I don't think that's really an accurate way of thinking of it, but yes, you do need to take massive action, and on the other hand, reflect, okay? So action and reflection. Part 4 is presentation, okay? This is very important in Japan in specific, because whereas in the West, from the US or Australia or wherever, it might be fine to walk around in flip-flops and loose sweatpants and just have a singlet or wife beater or whatever you call it on. But in Japan is a very appearance-conscious society, okay? So you need to make sure that you have at least a basically decent appearance, right? Now, what are the components of this? Starting off very, very basic, but you need to brush your teeth, right? Bad breath, don't have it, right? You need to take regular showers, seems obvious. You need to get regular haircuts and keep your hair under control, okay? You need to wear deodorant and possibly cologne, okay? You need to smell decent, right? This is important. Girls get close to you. I can't tell you the amount of times that I've heard that girls will just tell me, they'll say, wow, like, if it wasn't for the way you smelled, I probably wouldn't have even been here, right? So all of these things are important, right? Fashion, right? Do you look reasonably good? Do you wear fitting shirts that fit your body, not overly baggy, right? Americans tend to be worse about this than Europeans, Europeans are generally better with the style, but you need to wear clothes that are simple but elegant, right? So none of the Ed Hardy dragon crazy t-shirts, right? Anime print tees or whatever, right? Wear something that is nicely fitting, relatively new, and presentable, right? Don't overcomplicate this step, but realize that there's probably a few ways in which you could improve your fashion, and ask a friend, be like, hey, look, I'm trying to improve my fashion a little bit. What do you think, right? Ask a few people, ask some girls, ask some guys, look at some magazines, okay? You don't have to be a fashion genius, right? As a guy, it's kind of lucky. We don't have to wear ridiculously good clothes. We don't have to, just as long as it's reasonably fitting, doesn't have huge holes in it, or stains, or something like that, you're good to go, okay? Body language, okay? In general, you want to have open body language, right? And this can be thought of as exposing sort of your vulnerable areas, your belly and everything, as opposed to being very closed off, right? When you make gestures, they should be slow moving, not like rapid and fast and spazzy all over the place. Don't fidget that much, right? These are just basic things, but everybody can improve on them at least a little bit. In general, all of these things, you should accept and improve, right? So accept the things that you cannot change, right? So this might be your height, your race, whatever. If you have some sort of deformity or something, realize the things that you cannot change and then own those. So be like, hell yes. Bitches love the short dudes, or whatever. Use it as a source of confidence and inspiration, and no girl will ever be able to use it against you. So when she comes up to you and she says, you're short, you're just like, yeah, and, right? It no longer can be used against you. Own it if you can't change it. If you can change it, try to change it, right? So accept what you can't change and improve what you can change, right? This is the dynamic between complete and unconditional self-love on one hand and constant desire for improving yourself on the other hand, right? You need to have both. And finally, you should have some fucking swagger, okay? So as you're walking down the street, you should be like, hell yeah, as if this is your living room or your kingdom, your palace, and these are your subjects. You allow passage through your kingdom, right? It sounds ridiculous, but just believe that you are entitled to exist in the world at ease, and you're never out of place or in somewhere that you don't belong, right? In any given situation, you belong as much as the next person, if not more, okay? All right, part 4 is the girl, right? We must be motivated fundamentally by curiosity about the girl, not desire to just bang her instantly. Although, in some cases, that might be what happens, right? We talked about flipping over the cards and checking for affinity. So in the same way, when you approach a girl, you should not be thinking, is she gonna like me? Is she gonna reject me? I don't know, I'm worried. You should be thinking, who is this woman, right? What is she about? What are her values and beliefs? What forces created this woman in front of me? Let's go investigate. Let's find out more, right? Her appearance looks good. She seems reasonably cute and hygienic. She is a mammal of the human variety. Therefore, let's find out more about her. Let's see if her personality lives up to her appearance. Because I can tell you from experience that some of them do not, all right? And you want to check this, right? It's going to help the more you're able to understand her world, right? And the more focused on foreigners and interested in English and that sort of thing she is, the easier this will be to do, right? People call these kinds of girls like milkers or whatever, like black-haired girls who are English speaking and who like, meeting you to practice English or whatever. Nothing really wrong with it, but they very much do have a tendency to serially date just foreigners, and in some cases can be kind of rejects from Japanese society, right? Nothing wrong with it if you like those kinds of girls, but the harder they are, the more entrenched in Japanese society they are, the more validation they're given by Japanese men in society, which tends to correlate with their attractiveness, the less interested in foreign things they're going to be. Again, not always the case, but just a generalization, right? So the ones that are more Japanese or focused on Japanese society, Japanese men, all of these things, you need to be able to relate to them, right? It's not going to automatically come naturally, right? And so how can you relate to them on a deeper level and about their values and beliefs, okay? You have to get into their mindset, and this can involve consuming media, right? Like watching certain dramas that display characteristics and things that they're interested in, going and checking out their magazines, right? If you've never looked at several magazines, go to a manga cafe, check in for a couple hours, and all of the magazines are going to be there. Just have a flip through them. Be like, wow, this is what these girls are paying attention to. This is what they're spending money on. I sort of can intuit this kind of girl reads this magazine, this kind of girl reads this magazine, and these are the brands they're interested in. These are the things they spend their time, money, and curiosity on. These are the things which are entertaining to them, okay? And then on top of that, be curious about the girls, and almost as if you're a scientist arriving in a new country, exploring the world and categorizing everything into types and making assumptions and proving yourself wrong and making better assumptions. This is the process of learning to understand the girl at a deeper level, and in the end, it will result in more success with these women for you. Okay, because women do not necessarily sleep with men that they find super attractive as they do by men that they feel understand them, okay? And this is something that is kind of a fundamental point. If you do not understand the girl, and if she does not see you in the same sort of way, in an understanding way, if there's no mutual understanding of your values and purposes in life, there will generally be no romantic encounter between you. Finally, you have to have a sense of empathy and win-win, okay? It cannot be, the vibe cannot be, I'm dragging you back to my sex dungeon. It should be about inspiring the woman to want to be with you, right? Now, how do you do that? Well, all of these things combine. A reasonably well-groomed appearance, you are comfortable and confident in expressing yourself, the real you who you show to your friends and family, not the you who is trapped and paralyzed by over-analysis, anxiety, depression, worrying about the future, worrying about the past, worrying about things that haven't happened or might happen but aren't in the present moment. So the more able you are to express yourself freely and with a wide range of emotions and a wide variety of modes of interaction, okay, the more attractive you're going to be. And the more you will be able to create a situation where it's win-win, where at the end of the day, she'll be wanting to tell her friends, she'll be like, wow, I just met this guy today and I'm kind of excited, I'm nervous but excited. You want them to be nervous but excited.
ケーキ。はい、こっち。
だね。
何いつもここにいんの？渋谷？
渋谷あんまり来ない。
あ、そう。また来てよ。友達になろう。
なる。
Yes, なります。Let's become friends. Use a line right here. Do QR. 今度 Let's eat メキシコ料理食べよう。
あ、めっちゃいいね。
好き。
めっちゃ好き。
食べよう。辛いの大丈夫？
辛いの大好き。じゃあ
今度ね。
またね。
楽しんで。
And I can't tell you how many times at the end of an interaction, whether it ends in a phone number or whether it ends in me meeting her and pulling her from the street to my house that same day, the girl will message me. She'll be like, well, thank you so much for talking to me. I couldn't believe that I had such a great encounter. I was not at all expecting it, right? And that's the kind of experience you want to leave these girls with, ideally. Ultimately, women are like national parks. You want to leave them better than you found them, right? Part 5 is leadership, okay? You have to be a man on your purpose, right? And your purpose must be bigger than hooking up with that particular girl or girls in general, right? Your purpose should always be your primary motive. And now I can't tell you what your purpose will be or should be. It might be something as simple or value-based as seeking adventure or trying new experiences, or it might be something much more concrete like scaling my business to $500,000 or whatever it might be that you're focused on. You must have a purpose and be moving towards that, right? And it has to be separate from women and pursuit of women and game, okay? Women want to be in your life, but they very much do not respect you if you make them the entirety of your life, okay? So you need to have your purpose, which is separate from women, and then they can follow along and get sucked up into your reality, right? As a leader, both among men and women, as a leader of people, right? You have a responsibility, and your responsibility as a leader is not to be a dictator as much as it is to be someone who inspires your followers. You should be authoritative, not authoritarian, right? In other words, realize that your power comes from the followers themselves. So you are not dictating to them what they will do. They have given you their trust, and you, with the power of that trust, with the burden of leadership, you now make decisions for the group. And in this situation, we're going to be talking mostly about with a girl, right? With Japanese girls, you need to take the lead, okay? You need to make decisions, be like, this is what is going to happen, right? Doesn't really matter so much what your decision is, so much as you make the decision, okay? So, you don't have to decide, I don't know, should we go to Dotor, or should we go to Tully's, or should we go to Starbucks? Like, you shouldn't be paralyzed by indecision. She probably really doesn't care that much. Just pick a fucking cafe, okay? It's that simple, right? So focus your interaction, given the fact that you have a little bit of empathy for the girl, interest in the girl, curiosity in the girl. With that as a base, direct the interaction. Say like, look, I'm enjoying talking to you. I would like to go this way to do X, Y, or Z. Let's go to this venue. Let's go do this thing. She should be caught up in your world, in your plan, right? And Japanese girls very much say this themselves, right? If you look at surveys that are in Japanese magazines or things that the girls themselves say, they will say, I want a man who leads. リードしてくれる人がいい, right? They actually will say this themselves. This is not me imposing some sort of patriarchy on this girl. So get this ridiculous ideas out of your mind. These are things that these girls actually are saying that they want, right? And one of the biggest problems that they have with foreign guys or guys in general is that the guys are too waffling. They're on the edge. They don't know where to take the interaction. So you should always have a plan. That plan can be created in the moment, or that plan could exist from before. You say like, look, you know what? I would like some tacos. Let's go get some tacos, right? Or you say, you know what? We need to have some dark beer. It's hard to find dark beer in Japan, but I know a place. Let's go right now. Okay? And she's going to respect you for the fact that your plan is specific and decided, and it's not just some sort of, and you're not leaving too much up to her, because she doesn't want the burden of making a choice, okay? As a leader, you need to be able to handle shit, okay? Now this happens more often in bars and clubs. Like if you're talking to a girl in the street or a cafe, people aren't gonna come up and mess with you. But if you're in a bar or a club, sometimes guys will come up and try to mess with you. They'll be like, oh, this is my girlfriend, or something. They'll come up and they'll try to pretend as if the girl's your girlfriend. And the girl she's not usually going to deal with the situation, right? In some cases, she might just sit back and just be like, let the best man win, right? And in those situations, you need to step up and handle shit, okay? And that might mean just blocking the guy out, making sure he does not, nudge his way into the interaction or butt in or whatever. As a leader, when somebody comes into your kingdom, whether they, if they're unwanted, you must cut them out essentially, quickly and effectively, not with over too much force or ridiculous force, right? You shouldn't be getting into any fights with these guys, but simply be like, sorry, we're having a conversation, move the girl away. Something simple like that is good enough. But the point is that when something happens, you handle it. You are the one handling things. When you walk into the restaurant, you say, look, 2 people. When the menus come, you take the menu, you look at the menu, you say, I want this, this, and this, right? If she wants something, she can add it as well. But you're making decisions, you're making shit happen. Finally, the leadership means you must actually make the moves. You must make the moves to take the girl to a venue or to your house. You must make the first move to kiss the girl, right? You must be the impetus behind the escalation, okay? You cannot be a little pussy and be like, I hope she makes the move first. I'm too nervous. Oh my God. Make the fucking move. Be the man, right? All right, 6 is where to actually meet the women. Where are we gonna find these beautiful women? Well, first just think, where are they, right? Anywhere in Japan, right? Now, when you're looking for a place to meet girls, it's important to not be constrained by the dictatorship of society, alright? So if society says, look, you must only meet women in these certain approved ways, you can meet them on Tinder, it's okay to talk to girls you don't know in clubs, and bars, and social events, and that is it. If you meet women outside of there, it is harassment and you are a horrible person. Okay? Do you see my jowls shaking with fear and anxiety that you're disturbing the social order? Do you see the furrows of worry developing on my brow? Do you see the rage from within me as you try to create spontaneous romantic encounters with and have consensual sex with young, beautiful women? It's impossible! I'm just messing around here and kind of personifying all of the mental excuses or all of the reasons, most common reasons you hear about doing cold approach in public places. But the fact of the matter is that you are not hurting anybody, okay? And you're doing something that is extremely natural, as we have mentioned before. You're pursuing your interests towards beautiful women, right? And as long as you're not being grabby, overly aggressive or something, do it wherever you like, in whatever situation possible. I'm going to go over pretty much all of the major places in which you can meet women and give a breakdown of sort of the differences of them in this section, all right? So we're going to start with day game, right? Now, day game is just meeting women in public, cold approach during the day. And this in some ways is the highest barrier to entry, and that's a mental barrier, really. Guys, in their mind, they get caught up in all this anxiety. People are watching me. I don't know, is the girl going to be upset? They're worried about it. Just do it, okay? Just do it, right? All right, so day game, some places you might meet them, for example, cafes. Cafes are cool. You can just have a really chill, relaxed conversation, sit down next to a girl you think is cute. It's very low energy, right? And that's fine. It's quiet environment. If you're low energy, should be suitable for you. My problem is that there's not enough really volume of women in a single cafe, and it's not really conducive to talking to many women or even more than one, right? And you have to kind of be there for a while, right? But it's good. It's a nice, easy way to have a casual open with a girl who might be reasonably cute, right? Cafes. Malls, department stores, that sort of thing. Another great place. You don't really need any excuse to be there, right? You can make up one if you want, but it's not necessary. Street. The street is the place where there are the most women in the world, probably, in the streets of places like Shibuya, Shinjuku, Roppongi, Ikebukuro, Shinagawa, Ueno. Any major station in Tokyo or in Japan is going to have a huge amount of women walking around, right? And a lot of times these women are by themselves, but even if they're not, you can talk to them, right? Now, when you're talking to women on the street, you generally don't want to try to make them stop or shock them. You want to come in pretty relaxed, match their energy level, have a simple, relaxed conversation where you don't put too much pressure on yourself to perform or have a perfect approach. Simply talk to them, engage them as human beings, and attempt to move them somewhere if you would like to, right? Once again, start out with a plan in mind. So if you live in the area, then you can just be like, let's go drinking at my house. Let's have a drink, right? And even within, sometimes it blows people's minds, but within less than 5 minutes, you can have a girl walking towards your house, right? And have this on camera many, many, many times. Girls with smiles on their faces being like, let's go, right? Now, trains are cool, but you're gonna have to be a little bit toned down on the train, even compared to somewhere like a cafe. You want to make it seem very casual, very chill, but it's not really a problem to meet girls on the train. You don't want to be like serially spamming girls, being overly aggressive or anything like that, but barring that, you should be fine, okay? Events are a great place, like music festivals or other sorts of events. It can be a little bit more like a club atmosphere, but everybody's usually very friendly and open to meeting people. You can go to like swimming pools, that sort of thing in the summer, or other large accumulations of people, amusement parks, Disneyland, all that sort of thing. there are plenty of women to meet in all of these places, right? Night game, right? Night game just is a catch-all term and usually just means bars and clubs, right? So in bars and clubs, I would say you should be aware of your alcohol consumption, right? Do not overdrink too much alcohol to the point where you're slurring and falling all over the girl. It's not attractive, right? Have a drink or two to be social, hang out, maybe get a little bit relaxed, although ideally you should be able to talk to women without any alcohol at all. But there's nothing wrong with having a drink or two, just keep it in moderation. The night game is a little bit different in the sense that you're gonna get less girls by themselves and more girls in groups. So now, if you wanna go with a wingman, you can meet, what I like to do is go with one other guy, we meet two girls, we bring them back home, and either divide and conquer or have some sort of group swapping exchange, right? And it just is a huge amount of fun, very, very fun. The girls end up loving it too. They're like, wow, like, I've never done that before, it's amazing, you know, like, let's hang out again. It's great, really like mind-opening experience that not many people have. And a lot of the time, it's even easier to bring two girls home than it is to bring one, because they are together, they feel a little bit more comfortable, they're like, well, my friend is here, so it's all right. You know, it's a bonding experience for the two of them as well. And they get to hang out with their friend, right? The other option being, you just try to take one friend away, and you can do this either with some sort of just rapidly pulling her away. This happens a lot in clubs. You just say like, okay, just come, we'll come back. Pull one of the friends away from her group and take her home. In bars and clubs, you want to be a master of your emotions and have fun, right? That's the most important part. I mean, on the street, it's important to have fun as well, but energy is like currency, and people want to go where the currency is flowing. So if you have good energy, you're moving around, talking to a lot of people, you know, engaging people in a fun way, people are going to want to be around you. And if you make the right moves, if you try to pull girls, they're likely to come with you, they're likely to want to come with you, right? Okay, next one is online, right? Now, a lot of guys talk about meeting girls on Tinder or Pairs or whatever, like that's sort of the default for a lot of countries. It's kind of become online, has been like where most guys meet girls. For me personally, it never really worked, and I didn't put that much effort into it because it just doesn't work so well for me, and I'm just much better at meeting girls in person. I feel like it's a lot easier to kind of get a sense of who they are. You're not going to be stuck on some multi-hour date with somebody who you actually end up really having a horrible connection with or whatever. When you're in person, within a few minutes you can get a really good sense of who that person is and if they're going to be fun to be around or not. And also you can actually look at them instead of pictures that might be, you know, 5 years old or whatever. So I just find the whole online process not to be particularly worth my time in Japan. Your mileage might vary. If you do want to do online dating, I would give you a few pieces of advice. One is to have really nice pictures, okay? You can never have nice enough pictures, and each picture should tell a story. They should have a separate story, if you will, that the picture tells you. So one should be like you know, you could have one playing the guitar or something, and a story being, this guy plays the guitar, right? Have another one with some friends and be like, oh, this guy is a social human being with friends, right? And maybe a third one of yourself, face shot or something like that. Each picture should serve a different purpose. So you don't want to have like 7 pictures of you surfing or all the pictures of you like showing your abs or whatever, right? You do not want to have repeat pictures. Each picture serves its own purpose. I might do a longer video on this at some point, but to be honest, online game is not my focus and not really my interest. Mostly about cold approach, all right? And I think it has the most payoff in terms of transforming yourself as compared to Tinder or online game where there's no change required from you. There's no improvement, there's no path, as it were. There's no self-improvement in Tinder, but there is a lot of self-improvement when you're trying to do cold approach pickup. All right, next section 7, language and communication. So how are we going to communicate to these girls, and what's the deal with English versus Japanese, right? I would say that you do not need Japanese, right? But it is a huge help, right? If you speak only English, you're going to be kind of limiting yourself in the way you can express yourself. And that's going to be the biggest limitation you have, right? If you speak Japanese, or if the girl speaks English and you speak English, it's much better because you can express a wide range of emotions and talk about a wide variety of things. That said, I've hooked up with girls who literally we could not communicate. We did not share a language. And you can do it, right? You can do it with just body language and gestures. You can do it with something like Google Translate if you need, basically by any means necessary, communicating with them, okay? Additionally, you're going to want to make yourself more emphatic, right? Or compelling, right? Now, these are not skills which I'm going to get into because it takes sort of a lot of time to discuss these things and it's a little bit out of the scope of this video, but the more compelling you are, the more charismatic you are, regardless of language, the better your ability to relate to people will be, of course. So, things like improvisation, things like learning to tell stories better, learning to communicate your emotions more effectively. These are things which are going to have huge payoffs when you're trying to meet women. Finally, I almost forgot there are international parties and, of course, social events as well. International parties are a great place to sort of get your social juices flowing and meet some reasonably cute English-focused or internationally minded girls. These venues can be much easier than all of the other venues, which makes it just a great place if you're just beginning or you want to build up some momentum and abundance and get some practice, right? Other events you could go to, sort of like speed dating events or also social events. If you have a social circle and go to those, you do want to be a bit more casual. You don't want to be like ridiculously hitting on every girl in sight and trying to drag them to a love hotel. If this is your social circle, treat it with a little bit more caution and respect, as it were, or at least just be a little bit more toned down. Finally, we're going to talk about motivation and abundance. Okay, so having motivation, I would say, is a bit overrated, okay? People are always talking about, oh, I'll do it when I have motivation, or if I was only motivated, or yeah, it can be good to, get pumped up about something, but you should do what you're gonna do in life regardless of whether you feel, ready for it or excited about it, right? Think about the difference between being an amateur and a professional, right? When you're a professional, you go to work, rain or shine, happy, sad, in Japan, often even sick, right? Now, if you're an amateur, it just means you do it for the love of it. You do it when you want to. You do it because it makes you feel like it, okay? So if you really want to have success with women, you need to make the jump from amateur, in other words, doing it when you feel like, to professional of doing it rain or shine, right? Hot weather, cold weather, whether you feel ready and motivated or whether you feel a bit apprehensive and slow and sluggish, but you still power through it, right? The way that your mind works and your way that your mind learns is if you don't feel up to it and then you don't go out, your mind is going to reinforce that behavior. Whereas if you go out regardless of how you feel, so if you feel slightly, your body is tired or you're just a little bit upset or you had a rough day or whatever, and you still go out and you try as best as possible to first own the vibe that you have. So if you're feeling a bit tired, just be like, yeah, I'm a bit tired.
今起きたばっかりめっちゃ眠くてずっと寝ててYeah 昨日面接多くてよかったGood Nice You have your day Me too Have your day
誰出たらすごいね。醤油が全部かかっちゃう。
邪魔でこうやって。
お箸が飛んでっちゃいそう。
So if you're feeling a bit tired, just be like, yeah, I'm a bit tired. But then you still do it anyway. You still do the approach anyway. You'll train your mind to be your bitch. In other words, you'll train yourself to be the master of your own emotions, right? You will be in control, not whatever your mind or body or excuses tell you. Your body actually will adapt to that. So you'll go out At first you'll be like a little bit like, I don't really feel like doing this. But after a while, if you submit to the process of approaching, you're going to get into a social mood anyway. And building a pattern of taking a lack of motivation or tiredness or whatever and turning that into productive action trains your mind to have that first feeling less, right? Because it knows it won't be an excuse for you. It knows there's no way out, okay? Now, in terms of the balance between challenge and results, this is something that's important, and I think it influences how long guys have patience for game or how much time they want to put into game, right? So if you get absolutely no results at all and you've been throwing yourself against the walls of the most beautiful women in Kabukicho at 8 p.m. every night, it's going to wear down on you over time, right? Yeah, at first it might be fun, it might be exciting, you might like enjoy the process of maybe getting a short interaction and then maybe getting a line, but if they don't come out, and if nothing comes out of it, you might over time, no matter how hard you try to have a right action mindset, it might kind of wear down on you, okay? So my solution for this is to spread the places and the ways that you game out more. So more different types of venues. Try to express yourself in new and different ways and make each interaction unique and fun for yourself. And also go to some of the easier venues. Like if you're smashing your head against fast walking Kawakura at 8 p.m. in Kabukicho, maybe go to a couple international parties and hook up with some easier girls, or try like pairs or Tinder or something. Go to Hub or go to some Roppongi clubs or something. Mix everything up so that you're meeting women in a large variety of times, venues, and methods, right, or modes of interaction, right? This way, you're gonna feel less beat down, if you will, by the difficult venues, okay? And on the other hand, if you're continuing in a cycle of very, very easy situations or easy venues, you never want to be like the big fish in the small pool, right? If you're looking around and you're like, yeah, I'm the best at this thing, or I'm fucking better than everybody else here, it probably just means that you aren't hanging out with people who challenge you enough, or you're in a small pool, you're choosing to be the big fish in the small pool as opposed to venturing out and taking on more challenge, okay? So I would say that is the balance between getting results and challenging yourself to the more attractive women that you really want to get, wherever they may be and in whatever situation they may be. In terms of momentum, it's good to build momentum. So just go out several days in a row, to be talking to many different girls on text. That way, if one flakes, or if one doesn't come out, or if one deletes you online, or if a girl rejects you, it doesn't affect you as much, okay? Ideally, you should have a couple girls that you're seeing, just regularly. Every once in a while, you go out to dates, you go to whatever, the movies, you cook together, and then you go meet a variety of girls in a variety of venues, and this will cultivate within you a feeling of abundance, right? And when you have this feeling of abundance, it makes everything easier. The rejections sting less, the successes come easier, everything just seems to flow naturally, okay? Compared to if you think of things as like scarcity, like if you're in scarcity mindset and you think, I need to get laid, right? The thirst is bubbling up. The girl is going to sense the fact that you're really thirsty, right? You need to temper this, and as I said before, meet women from a wide variety of sources, right? As many as possible, as many sources and places as possible. And over time, you will kind of build momentum, especially if you keep going out a couple days a week or several days in a row. You're going to build momentum, which will increase your overlying confidence, your baseline confidence, your overall baseline confidence, and self-efficacy, okay? And this is what is important for really stepping up to the next level of women. So if you feel like you're at a plateau or something, try to mix things up. Try to go to more and different venues. Try to express yourself in new and different ways. See each interaction as a unique chance to explore, right? It's as if you're in a video game or something and you can do anything. So why would you do like the same menial things every day? If you sit down at your video game and you go into the video game and you cook dinner in the video game, right? And then the next day you play the video game, you cook dinner again, and you play the video game, cook dinner. Actually, just sounds like The Sims. But anyway, like the point is, if you have the ability to do anything, why would you do the same thing over and over, or have the same interaction over and over, right? So keeping it dynamic, mixing things up, pulling women from a wide variety of sources, getting the right balance between challenge and results, and making sure you surround yourself with people who are in a positive mindset is also really important. So making sure you surround yourself with people who are always trying to provide value to everyone around them and bring everybody up, right? Challenge you to be more, challenge you to go out more, challenge you to approach sets that intimidate you, girls that intimidate you in new situations, right? If you're not around people who are pushing you to be your best and while at the same time being very positive, you probably might need to reevaluate your friend circle and situation, okay? Finally, as you grow and as you change, you might notice that friends around you that you were previously associated with, your paths kind of diverge. And this is the same as with travel. You might experience this. Like, I know for me, back home, there's a bunch of people who are in the same hometown, doing the same kind of menial job, maybe dating the same girl and going to the same places as they were when I left that hometown, 10 years ago or whatever. And the more you travel, the more you experience new things, the more you're going to distance yourself just naturally. There's no malice or ill will or anything. Just the fact of your experience getting so different is going to naturally kind of lead you away from the people that you used to hang out with. Similarly, again, the same as with business. If you get into being an entrepreneur or working really hard in a certain career track, you might naturally just separate away from people who aren't really that focused on that, right? In the same way, with game, if you really want to commit and actually get good and successful with women, you're going to need to make it a part of your life so that when you want to move, the reflex is there, right? And surrounding yourself with people who do this a lot is a really good way to do that. And that might mean that in some cases, some of the friends that you previously had, you might kind of drift away from. I know that certainly happened for me. I hang out with mostly a lot of guys who do cold approach in particular, and it really pushes me to be better, right? So most of my friends now are just either interested in game, interested in travel, interested in business and money, right? Those are the kind of interests that I have, and therefore I kind of cultivate a social circle of people who are focused and interested in those things, right? Same for you. If you have a path of mastery or some avenue that you want to pursue, you need to surround yourself with people who are working for similar goals and who are going to, you can share kind of mastermind with, who push you and who you push them, and who help each other out and bring good vibes. Okay. All right. It has been a long video, but I hope you enjoyed it. I packed a ton of information into this. If you liked this video, if you like the videos on my channel, like, comment, subscribe, tell me what you think. And be sure to check out my new program, Social Metamorphosis, okay? It's going to go into extreme depth on all of these topics and give you some real specific techniques and a clear roadmap from progression from absolute beginner until seasoned veteran at pickup and success with women, okay? Goes into a lot more detail than I had time to in this video. And on top of that, you're going to see a ton of Infield examples of me meeting and picking up Japanese women on the streets of Tokyo and other cities in Japan, okay? I've really poured my heart and soul into this product, and I know you're going to love it. So check it out if you're interested. Either way, let me know what you thought in the comments. Like it, hate it. Let me know how you feel. See you guys next time.